Let's talk about command buffers. By the end of this video, you're going to know what they are, when you should use one, and how you can make one. So I like to explain them as a nice thing to use when you need to batch some kind of execution. So you got a bunch of things you need to do, but you need to do them later and all at the same time. Or you've got a bunch of things you need to do, but you can't do them in this code path. And I'll go into an example a bit later of what exactly I mean by that. So let's use the real world example of shopping. So you're going shopping for some groceries. What do? You make a grocery list, usually. Write down all the things you need, and then when you're at the shopping center, you go through each one by one, and you grab the items. This is kind of like a command buffer. You're putting the commands in the shopping list, and you're executing them at the shopping center, or supermarket rather. With that in mind, let's actually build one real quick. All right, here we are over in the editor. Now let's make a program. We're going to use Odin and raylib to make this a little bit simpler. So we're going to import raylib here. It's a vendor library. Raylib, if you don't know, is a library to help with programming games or interactive applications. It's quite nice. And so we're going to use that to handle our input and our rendering. So what we're going to do is we're going to use init window. We're going to make a quick 720p window right here. We're going to call it command buffer. Very good. We're going to make an infinite loop. We're going to say if the escape key is pressed, then we're going to break out of this loop and exit the program. That's all very good. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to start our drawing. So usually in a game, these would be split up into, is it end drawing? They'd be split up into 3 sections. You'd have your input handling, your updating, and your drawing. So that's kind of why the command buffer is very useful, because inside these other stages, you can't draw anything. So you have to queue things up to be drawn later if you want. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw at the cursor position, a circle at the mouse cursor position, and we're going to draw a line from the top left corner of the screen to the mouse. Let's just say these are some debug drawing things we wanted to do. So we're going to make these right now. Draw command. We're going to make a union. I'm going to make draw command circle and draw command line. We have to create these structs now. So these are going to be struct, and they're both going to have a color, and they're both going to have a position. Actually, you know what? This is going to be start and end, and this one's going to be positioning radius. Okay, there we go. We don't have a vec2 type yet. We'll have to make that. So vec2 is just 2 float 32s. All right. So the reason we're putting these into a union here is because we want to make an array of these. So we're going to make an array here called commands. Let's call it dynamic draw command, or we could call it draw commands, I guess. Okay, so this is a dynamic array which we can add to, like a vec in C++, if you're familiar with that. I think Rust also uses that nomenclature. Okay, so if we put these into a union, then we can make something that's different sizes, right? So this has 1 vec2, 1 float, and 1 color. This has 2 vec2s and 1 color, so they're not the same size. Although maybe because of the ordering they would end up the same size. I'd have to check. But regardless, you can have arbitrary data that you need to execute your command in a struct, and then you can wrap them all in a union, and then you can have an array of them. So that's the whole point. So let's get into it. Now, let's say, for example, that we're in some maybe physics code or something, and we're in some deep nested update part of our code, and we can't draw things in here because we can only draw things between these two commands, or these two function calls, and we're not in the drawing code right now. We're in the update code or in the input handling code. So why don't we say something like this with the mouse position, get mouse position. Okay, so we're going to get the mouse position, and we're going to say, we're going to make a command. It's going to be called draw command circle. It's going to have a position, which is the mouse position. Very good. Radius, let's say 50. And a color, why don't we just use red? That's fine. Now we're going to have to append this command to the draw commands. So that's going to add it to the end of the array. And we'll just add it there. And now we're going to reuse this variable name. And we're going to make another command called line, or not called line, but of type draw command line. This one's going to start at, let's say, 0, which is going to be the top left corner, which is the same as writing 0, 0 like this. And we're going to do the mouse position. And then color, let's do yellow. Okay, now we need to append this command as well. There we go. We have some kind of bug, which is we're trying to assign this to a different command type. We can't do that. So why don't we say command 2 and command 1. There we go. Command 1, command 2. So now we've got our commands in our buffer. So we can just go ahead and see how to process those. So now that we've got these together, I'm going to go down here. And we're going to say iterate over the commands. So for command in command draw commands, we're going to use a switch. And in languages without tag unions or this type of union, you could do you could add to the structs. You could have a type like this, and you'd just put your draw command type, and then you'd have an enum that would be your draw command, and then you would use that instead to determine what kind of command it is that you're iterating over. So switch v in command. So we're going to switch over draw command circle and draw command line. Don't forget the case keyword. There we go. So this is where we can process these. And luckily raylib has really simple functions like draw circle. And we're just going to put in our position and our radius and our color. Draw line, start, end, draw line V, sorry, and color. There we go. Great. So we've queued up our drawing commands up here. Now we're going to process them all at the same time down here. We probably also want to clear the screen, clear the background color rather, and we'll just use black. That will make sure that after we draw one frame, the next frame is erased, so we're not drawing on top of it. And then down here, we're also going to want to clear our command buffer. So let's have a look at that. We're just going to use clear draw commands. If we don't do this, then they're just going to pile up, and we're going to do more and more and more draw commands. Actually, I'll show you what that looks like. So this is without clearing the commands. You can see we're just drawing more and more and more on top of each other like this. Okay, and now let's look at what happens if you don't clear the background. But you do clear the commands. Yeah, it's going to be pretty similar. Pretty similar. Not quite the same. There's a little bit of jittering and stuff. Alright, so you want to make sure you do both of those. It's kind of beside the point for command buffers though. Well, this is not beside the point. We always want to clear the command buffer. And that's it. So we can draw things in a different code path. So actually, I'll make it more concrete for you. Let's say we had here handle input, and then we just actually move this out of here, and we have a handle input procedure, and we just do all of that in here. And then down here we've got render, and we move this into render. Great, so you might have something like this. Clear input, render, and then clear the draw command. So obviously, if you're handling the input, did I say clear input? I meant handle input. If you're handling the input, you can't draw things, because you can only draw things in between begin draw and end draw. I'm just reiterating the point here. Okay, that's it. Now you know how to use command buffers. Maybe you want to know a bit more about game loops. So luckily, I made a video for that, so check it out. See you next time.